Hello everyone. In this lecture, let us see the analysis of series RLC circuit. So here is a circuit where I have taken a combination of a resistor, a capacitor and an inductor in series with a supplied voltage, sinusoidal voltage V. So this total supply voltage V is divided between these three different elements, that is R, L and C, but the total current that is flowing through all these three elements is same, that is I. We know that, right? Now I am trying to draw the phasor diagram for this given series RLC circuit with reference value as a current I, right? No, I am taking the reference current I. See, I know that voltage drop across resistance, if I take it, that is VR. VR is nothing but I know that IR. So VR is in phase with IR not. We know that voltage across a resistor is in phase with the current through the resistor, that is I. Whereas next coming to inductor, that is voltage across a resistor VL, which can be given by I into XL. So this voltage across an inductor leads I by 90 degrees or not, right? Also next point is what? Capacitor, that is VC, I into XC. What it happens? Lags I by 90 degrees or not. So now I have to show all these three things in a given single phasor with the reference value of the current I. So first of all, VR is in phase with I. So this is my reference current I, where now I am drawing VR. So this is my VR, that is IR. Right? Now let us draw VL, that is I into XL, that means which leads current by 90 degrees. Now I have to draw a phasor which leads the current by 90 degrees. So I am drawing something like this, which is my VL. It is nothing but I into XL, which is leading the reference current I by 90 degrees. Next, VC, IXC lags current by 90 degrees. That is, it comes like this. So I know that VL is IXL, that is nothing but I into omega L. This is what? I into 1 by omega C. So these two magnitudes may be different or not. It may not be same. The value of VL or VC depends upon the values of L and C and F. Right? So the net voltage of total addition of all these voltages, that is R, L and C, I can write C as VL and this is what? VC, that is IXA. So these two are exactly opposite to each other. So VL and VC are 180 degrees opposite direction. So in phasors what happens? The net voltage, I can write the net voltage as the difference whatever it is. Actually it is the difference VL minus VC. Right? Either we don't know whether VL is greater or VC is greater. But the resultant of these two is given by the difference of VC and VL. Right? So I can write the net value of voltage across this series circuit now as VR is equals to, let me take this resultant as like this, that is VL minus VC, the resultant of VL and VC. Now I can apply parallelogram law now. So by taking parallelogram law, now I will be obtaining V is equals to I into Z, where phi is the phase angle, right? So from where I can write the resultant voltage V as under root of VR square plus the resultant of these two is what? VL minus VC square, right? So from where I can write IR square plus IXL minus Ixc the whole square. I into under root of r square plus xl minus xc the whole square. So now this becomes our impedance Z, I into Z. Right? Let me write it down where Z is equals to under root of r square plus xl minus xc whole square. So what is the value of Z in case of RLC series circuit? It becomes under root of r square plus xl minus xc the whole square. Right? Now let us look at some more different parameters. Right? Now phase angle phi. We know that phase angle phi is nothing but, see, from this phasor diagram I am writing all this. Tan inverse of, this is my triangle now. Now to obtain phi, tan inverse, that means opposite side by adjacent side, right? So opposite side will be what? This side. This side is what? VL minus VC by. Now adjacent to this is what? VR, right? This is the adjacent side. That is VR. So from where I can write it as tan inverse XL minus XC by R. Right? So the difference of XL and XC we can take it as tan inverse X by R. Fine. So from here you can find out the value of phi. Also, now if you look closely at these formulas, you can come to the conclusions that, so if phi is positive, see, if phi is said to be positive, that means it is in this direction. Positive is nothing but anti-clockwise direction. So if anti-clockwise direction is there, it is considered as positive. That means if the phase angle is phi, that is positive, we can tell that the resultant is in the upper direction. Right? In this side we get the resultant. When do we get in this side the resultant? When XL is greater than XC or not? Hope you have understood. So when this angle is taken is in anti-clockwise direction, we will consider the phase angle as positive. That means if phase angle is positive, then we can tell that the resultant of VL and VC is positive. That means it comes in the direction of VL. So if it comes in the direction of VL, that means from there we can conclude as XL is greater than XC. In the same way, if phi is negative, that means, so angle will be in this side clockwise direction. If it is in the clockwise direction, then that means the resultant will be like this. If the resultant is between the reference and VC, that means the resultant of VL and VC is negative. Right? So that means in that case, we can conclude as XL is less than XC. Now, in the same way, if phi is 0, that means the resultant of VL and VC is in phase with the reference current I. So if it is in phase, that means XL and XC are cancelling out each other. That means XL is equals to XC. These are the three very important conclusions which you need to keep in mind. Right? Also, the power factor cos phi can be written as cos phi is equals to R by Z, from where we know that Z is what? Under root of R square plus XL minus XC the whole square. Right? So now let us look at some more conclusions from this series RLC. Let us see how these inductive reactance and capacitive reactance behaves with change in frequency now. That is, we know that XL is equals to 2 pi FL or not. In the same way, XC is equals to 1 by 2 pi FC. We know this, right? Now, let us see now if the frequency increases, then what happens to the value of XL? You can clearly see from this formula that if frequency increases, the inductive reactance increases. Also, the capacitive reactance decreases as this is inversely proportional to the frequency. Yes or no? Now, can we tell that there might be a certain frequency where the inductive reactance is equals to the capacitive reactance? So, let me name that frequency as F0. At a particular frequency F0, if inductive reactance is equals to capacitive reactance, then in this case we can tell that Z is equals to R. Why? Because Z is equals to nothing but under root of R square plus XL minus XC the whole square or not? Right? Now if XL minus XC, if XL is equals to XC, this term becomes 0, then Z will be equal to R. Yes or no? So, the frequency at which this happens, the frequency at which inductive reactance will be equal to capacitive reactance, that frequency is called as resonant frequency. And the circuit is said to be in resonance at that particular frequency. Right? So, at resonance, we can tell that Z is minimum. So we will see all those things in the later classes. Now let us look at a problem to clearly understand the series RLC circuit. Here it is given that a resistance R, an inductance L of 0.01 Henry and a capacitance series C are connected in series. When a voltage of V is equals to 400 cos 3000 t minus 10 degrees is applied to the series combination, the current flowing is 10 root 2 cos 3000 t minus 55 amperes. Find the value of resistance and the capacitance. Right? So now we need the equivalent value of phi. So see here, voltage is given, current is given. So the phase difference between the voltage and current can be found out. That is phi. That is what? 55 minus 10. That is 45 degrees lag. Why? Why? Because this is 10 degrees, this is minus 55 degrees. So this is lagging behind the voltage by 45 degrees. Right? So now frequency from this you can find out as C, 2 pi ft. This must be 2 pi ft or not. So that means omega is 2 pi ft, which is given as 3000. So from where you can find out the value of f. Right? So now XL is nothing but we know that it is omega L. So it is nothing but 3000 into 0.01. 3000 omega t is given, right? Omega into L is given. So which comes as 30 ohms. Now we can find out Z. Z is what? Vm by Im or not? So which is Vm is given as 400 and Im is given as 10 root 2. So that it gives the resultant as what? 20 root 2, that is 28.28 ohms. Now to find out the value of reactance, that is X, which is nothing but difference of XL and XC, which is from the impedance triangle. See, this is the impedance triangle where this is our R, this is our X, this is our Z or not, right? So the resultant is what? 45 degrees. Resultant between the voltage and current, that is the phase angle, right? 45 degrees we have obtained. So from this impedance triangle, this is our X. We can find it out as, see, X. Can I write it as Z sin phi? See, it is nothing but opposite side. Opposite side is X, by hypotenuse is Z. So from the impedance triangle, I can write X as Z sin phi, where Z is what? I got it. Z is what? 28.28, right? 28.28 into sine 45 degrees. You will be getting it as 20 ohms. Right? Why? Because see, simply 20 root 2 into 1 by root 2, that is 20 ohms. And next, to find out the value of XC, now it is simple. XL we know, we have found out XL, minus X we have found out now, 20. That is, you will get it as 30.2. 30 minus 20. XL is 30, X is 20, that is 10 ohms. Now, to find out the value of C, we know we need the value of R and C, right? To find out the value of C, which we know as 1 by omega XC, we get 1 by omega is what? 3000 into XC is what? 10. So if you calculate it, you will be getting 33.33 microfarad. In the same way, from the triangle you can find out the value of R. You can write it as R is equals to Z cos phi. So where Z is 20 root 2 and cos phi is 1 by root 2, that is 20 ohms. So this is how different parameters of a series RLC circuit can be calculated. Hope you have understood. Thank you.